Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lunch Hour Sports Podcast with your hosts, Jacob Smedley,
Sam Betts,
Justin Reedhammer,
and Nathan Romanoff.
Our topics today include virtual sports, Jackie Kennedy and his amazing season with the Toronto Blue Jays, followed up by the NFL offseason, free agency, and draft with Justin Reedhammer, and finishing off with coronavirus affecting sports worldwide. Now here's Sam Betts with our new topic this week, Jackie Kennedy and his virtual skills in MLB The Show. Take it away, Sam.
Yes, so in MLB The Show 20, there is a game mode that's called Road to the Show, where you can create your own character, and he goes up through the levels of the minor leagues until he reaches the MLB and has a really great season. So, the character I have here is Jackie Kennedy, the 19-year-old left-handed starter out of Georgia. He's 6'3", 220 pounds, and he was drafted out of the 16th round by the Blue Jays. So
16th round, wow.
I
really
know,
took a chance on
he was
him.
really late, but I mean, hey, he's in the MLB right now, and he's in the starting rotation. That just shows, I mean, what players can do to prove themselves. So, here are his pitches. He throws a fastball, which is around 89 to 94 miles an hour.
Is that a four-seam or a two-seam fastball?
This is a four-seam fastball. He also does throw a two-seam. That's one of his newer pitches he actually learned. That's one of the perks of getting called up to the MLB club there, where you're able to learn some stuff from the coaches there. So he learned a two-seam fastball. That's around 83 to 89 miles an hour. He's still trying to develop that velocity there. He's got his changeup, which is around 77 to 80 miles an hour. And he has a slider, which is 78 to 82 miles per hour. Now, he has a contract with the Blue Jays. He's making the major league minimum because this is his first year in the MLB. He's making $500,007.
Major league minimum.
I mean, hey, you got to start somewhere.
He's gotta get paid soon, I bet, with his production.
Maybe in the next couple of years he'll make that big contract. He's still got another 5 years left on his original starting contract, but we'll see where he goes with it. So, we're going to talk about the Blue Jays in this simulation. The Blue Jays right now are 23 and 47. They're fifth in the AL East.
That is bad, Sam.
They're not doing too hot, Jake. They have players like Gleyber. They have players like Gleyber Torres. They have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They have Bo Bichette. They have young infielder Brendan Rodgers. But there's not a lot going for this team right now. Halfway through the season in June here. Jackie Kennedy is the only starter on the rotation with a winning record at 2-0.
Oh gosh.
Thomas Payon, who is the best starter at 8-7 with a 4.62 ERA, is in the rotation right now. That's their best starter.
No, that's not going to get it done for any winning team.
It's not looking too hot, Jake. But I mean, Jackie Kennedy's
doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, Jackie Kennedy's out here. He's just trying to make a name for himself and maybe even help the Blue Jays in the future. So, let's talk about some of their hitting stats, because if the pitching doesn't look that good, I mean, the hitting is something left to be desired. They average 3.91 runs a game, which is currently 25th in the MLB in this simulation. Their average is around 241, which is 29. That's their team average. I mean,
let me ask you this something. Why isn't Jackie Kennedy one of those two-way players? You know, like Shohei Ohtani. You couldn't make him a pitcher and a hitter. I mean, if he was a DH too and a pitcher, they might have a few more wins.
When you go through Road to the Show, it's kind of a little different than it has been in past years. You have to kind of play games with your player, and you get experience from there, and it goes to like certain categories. Well, since Jackie Kennedy's an AL pitcher, he doesn't really have too many. He's not getting too many at bats. I mean, I also tried when I try to upgrade him through doing practices and stuff. I try to upgrade mostly his pitching stats. I don't really focus on the hitting aspect because he's not going to get that many at bats. So there's that. But let's go to the actual game that Jackie Kennedy experienced. So coming into this game against the Orioles, this was in June 12th. This was June 12th. Coming in, he's had 4 starts in the MLB. He's had the decision in 2 of them where he's gone 2-0, like I said before. He has an ERA right now of 1.73. So in these 4 starts, he hasn't given up too many runs.
Yeah, that's impressive.
He's
in
had
that American League East. I mean, that's very, very impressive for that to have with so many of those bats in there. So
yeah, especially with teams like the Red Sox, the Yankees. He's holding his own. He has a total of 21 strikeouts also for the season.
Nice.
So in the first, so we talked about in the first inning. He finished the first inning in 10 pitches. He struck out Orioles shortstop Richie Martin, and the Blue Jays actually got a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the first on a 2 RBI single by Yusniel Griggs, the right fielder.
Oh wow!
So I mean, they got it started for him, and they gave him the lead, which is really nice.
How are the Orioles in this simulation? I mean, I know in real life. I mean, maybe in the simulation, 2 years fast forward. I mean, maybe they're a little bit better than they were.
Actually, the Orioles are right around where the Blue Jays are. I believe they're 4th, but they're like 20. They're like 24 and like 48. So they're only like one game better than the Blue Jays.
I see how they took a 2-0 lead. Then I see how the Blue Jays were able to take a 2-0 lead.
I mean, yeah, okay. So Jackie Kennedy in the second inning, he was facing Renato Nunez, who had a really hot season last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can remember him, and he gave up a home run to Renato Nunez to make up 2-1 game. So he was a little frustrated about that, but Jackie Kennedy was able to get the next 3 batters out on a couple of ground balls around the infield. One to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. There was one to first baseman there. So he came back and he was able to come back strong.
Now let me ask you. Is he a right-handed pitcher or a left-handed pitcher?
He's a left-handed pitcher.
Left-handed. Okay.
So he's able to get that a little extra. He's a little bit that extra tailing on the pitch.
Yeah,
which makes that really nice, especially for when he's facing other left-handers or even on right-handers when he gets that slider and he brings that in, throws that inside pitch. That really gives him a big advantage there.
Yeah.
In the next inning, we're in the third here. He was able to strike out William Casado and Pedro Severino in the third, and he only threw 33 pitches at that point.
Yeah,
by the end of the third.
Good
so I mean, he's getting it done. He's really doing a great job. He even struck out Rowdy Tellez in the fourth, and so he's up to a decent amount of strikeouts here. He's able to strike out DJ Stewart in the fifth, and he was able. With a runner on second base, it was still 2-1, so this was still a pretty close game. He had a runner on second and first. He was able to work out of a jam in the sixth inning, in his last inning of work, and he ended up with 79 pitches. So he was able to fight. He was able to kind of keep pitching and fight him off.
Yeah.
There and
getting
then
out
even
of a jam there, runners on first and second. I think that's a very, very good situation to get out of for him. Young pitcher, I mean, really can get overwhelmed by that kind of situation at the big league level.
Definitely, and it definitely shows his pitching clutch in that situation. Like to be clutch in those moments when there's runners in scoring position, you have to try to keep your cool, and he was definitely able to do that.
Especially in a close game like that.
And in that bottom of the inning, Brendan Rodgers was able to get an RBI double, and Leonis Martin was also able to do the same, bringing that 4-1. And Jackie Kennedy was relieved in that after that inning, and they were able to win the game 4-3. The Blue Jays were able to take the win over the Orioles. They did get a little close there in the end, but the bullpen was able to stay strong and keep that. So Jackie Kennedy, he got the win. He ended up with 6 innings pitched. He gave up 6 hits. He did give up a lot of hits. But like I said, he was still able to...
With that stuff, with the low velocity, I mean, you're going to have to give up some hits. He's probably, again, he's more of a finesse guy, right?
Yes,
he's like,
definitely.
Works on the corners, again, not that overpowering guy, of course, with the low 90s fastball there and the low changeup and the miles per hour. So, again, he has to be a finesse guy, has to keep the ball on the ground. So I can see why he would give up 6 hits in that scenario, so...
Yeah, but I mean, he still got 5 strikeouts in that game. He was still able to strike people out. He's still able to use those pitches, but it just he's able to strike some people out. But it also just comes with giving up some hits there. So it's you kind of have to give and take a few situations. He only gave up the 1 earned run, that 1 home run to Renato Nunez, and he did not walk anyone, which Jackie Kennedy is not really known for. He doesn't walk too many people, so. Yeah, I'd say he had a solid performance there. Going up to 3-0 now in his record, so I feel like he's going to be a strong starter in the MLB, and I think he might be able to turn this Blue Jays team around, hopefully in the future.
Yeah, hopefully down the road. Well, thank you, Sam, for the first episode here with Jackie Kennedy, the virtual player in MLB The Show. Again, due to recent events, we want to include some more sports content into it. Now, here's with some real-life action. Here is Justin Reedhammer with his notes and perspective on the NFL offseason free agency draft trades as well. Take it away, Justin.
Thank you. And as always, Sam, that was quite an amazing time listening to all that. It's even better when it's not real. So, moving on to the.
I feel for you, Sam. You don't take his crap.
Moving on to the free agency, we had quite a bit of good free agent signings throughout the offseason. Just a couple to highlight real quick. We obviously had Tom Brady. He went, going over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We had
that was a big one.
That's the big one.
Yeah. They the Cowboys. They franchise tagged Dak Prescott.
Yeah, interesting.
And that is.
Yeah,
it really is.
They re-signed Amari Cooper. 5 years, $100 million. I mean, that's a lot of money he's making.
Yeah,
he's worth it. Probably, though.
Drew Brees was re-signed.
He is. Hate to say it.
I mean, like a lot of good deals. Phillip Rivers, he went to the Colts for a year, $25 million. There's a lot of good signings.
1-year contract for a guy who's, again, of course, getting up in age, has maybe a few years left in the tank, can help that team, help, again, the wide receiver and the skill positions. I think that's a very good deal for the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's quite a few good ones here. There's, Von Bell of the Saints. He signed with the Bengals for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Linebacker, safety, can play both positions. Young defense there with Cincinnati. We'll get there with the draft as well. I think that they had a very productive offseason, and next few years could really be there with the Ravens, I feel, and Browns as well. That division's going to be. I mean, I know we already did an episode on them, the division recap, like talking about their needs. I think maybe every team in that division addressed their needs in what we talked about. So I think that's a good move for the Bengals.
Yeah. Speaking of the division recap, we're going to talk about the Titans a little bit, what they did here. They franchise tagged Derrick Henry, and they also re-signed Ryan Tannehill for 4 years.
Oh yeah.
So when we were talking back then, we said that was what they needed to do to kind of stay one of the top teams in the AFC. But looking back now, do you think that they did enough to remain a good team?
Yeah, I would personally say they did that. Again, we can talk about, I guess, the running back market as well with this. But you pay Tannehill. He did a fantastic job during the season for you. So I think you had to do that. But again, going with the franchise tag with Henry, you keep him. The running back market, the way it is, I mean, franchise tag seems to be the way to go for the first few times before you actually give the guy the big bucks. I mean, you see kind of what happened with like Ezekiel Elliott and even the Todd Gurley situation with the Rams, and how, of course, I know you're going to get to he's on the Falcons now, but you see how the market develops. So I think it was a smart move by the Titans to franchise tag him, because, I mean, yes, you can have a great running back, but as we saw with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, you don't necessarily need to have a great running back to get to the promised land. So, I mean, is the position doesn't have as much weight, so do you want to invest that much money in that position?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that. I also do want to kind of do a little bit of a criticism here. The Broncos ended up signing Melvin Gordon for 2 years, $16 million. It's not a bad deal, but I don't know. I don't think they really needed a running back, so I don't really understand why they went and grabbed Melvin Gordon when they have Philip Lindsay already, killing it at the position.
That's a good point. I still like the signing. I like Melvin Gordon as a running back. He's solid, good option. Philip Lindsay had a good year. I think they'll be able to run a very good offense, especially with who they drafted in the draft with 2 wide receivers, KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy. And, you need a big, high-powered offense in the same division as the reigning defending champions, Kansas City Chiefs, who are putting up, 40 points a game, basically, blowing opponents out of the water with that offense. So I don't mind having 2 solid running backs and signing Melvin Gordon. I like it, personally, as a Broncos fan.
Mm-hmm. Nate, I just want to ask you something. What do you think about Justin Herbert drafted by the Chargers? I bet that hurts you a bit. We were talking about before the whole virus struck and this whole kind of break we've had about the AFC South and how the Colts might have been a team for him, but he goes to the Chargers. As we touch on that division there, I just want to ask you again how you felt about that, having your team have to play him, your guy Herbert, twice a year probably.
Yeah, he was drafted by a division rival, the Chargers. I'm happy for him. And, I think he'll be a good fit for them. He's a solid quarterback, 6'5", big guy, good arm. Mm-hmm. And as he showed in the Rose Bowl, he does have running ability. I mean, he ran for 2-3 touchdowns in the Rose Bowl against Wisconsin. So he is a mobile quarterback who's a big guy as well. With the Broncos, I mean, it's tough for me as a Broncos fan to see someone I rooted for so much in college go to a rival team. But I wish him the best. And, whatever happens.
Yeah,
he's a good quarterback.
He gets to learn from Justin's guy, Tyrod Taylor, there. Yeah, in Los Angeles.
He doesn't need to learn from Tyrod. Trust me.
Tyrod should be learning from him.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyrod will teach him the moves.
Yeah.
All right, but also in free agency, we have a lot of trades going on. Now, there were a lot of trades this year. However, I'm just going to highlight some of the bigger ones. First off, we have the Jaguars traded Nick Foles to the Bears for a 2020 4th-round pick. I mean, I don't really know how I feel about that one.
Yeah. So
I don't know about that.
So the way the quarterback market is going right now, I think it was a disadvantage for the Bears. The way now Cam Newton is sitting right out there. I mean, I don't know if you were going to touch on that, Justin, as well, but I mean, he's sitting out there. Of course, Andy Dalton, as you'll probably mention too, Justin, he went off the market last night to the Cowboys. But I mean, 4th-round pick, they traded draft capital to draft a guy who, again, still maybe you could say Cam Newton would have been guaranteed a spot over Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, there's still reports that those two are going to be battling it out for the starting job. I think that they just pulled the trigger too quickly and thought the market was going to happen at a more rapid rate than this. But I don't think it was a smart move.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And another one that's kind of interesting, Carolina traded Kyle Allen to Washington. They didn't really have a quarterback to begin with, without Cam Newton, and now they trade Kyle Allen going over to Washington for a 5th-round pick.
They did get Teddy Bridgewater,
they did get Teddy Bridgewater.
But he's a solid option, but I don't know if he's exactly, number 1 quarterback material.
Well, I'd say he's better than Kyle Allen, personally.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for the Panthers being in that division right now with all those high-powered offenses. And they got Bridgewater, McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson. I mean, they're going to be sitting pretty, I think, in the basement, the way in the basement of that division. I mean, the way the other teams really, really improved in the offseason.
Do you think it became the strongest division in the NFC through the offseason?
I would say so. I would say so. I mean, with the Buccaneers and the Saints, and the Falcons. I mean, they're no start. They added Gurley on offense, replaced Freeman with him. I think that's a bit of an upgrade there. They did lose Hooper though, the Austin Hooper, the tight end, but. I think they're still going to be all right. They're going to be the average Falcons. I'd say like 7-9, 8-8. Play a few meaningful games down the stretch. But I think that is going to be the toughest division in the NFC.
Yeah, but I had to agree with that. And moving on to another trade, we have the Texans traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals for David Johnson.
Awful.
And a second-round pick and a 4th-round pick. I mean, I don't know what was happening there. I mean,
Bill O'Brien was being, I don't know what he was thinking. My goodness.
Yeah, that was so crazy.
DeAndre Hopkins, he's still a solid option. I mean, he was still like one of the number 1 receivers in the NFL for a long time.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he just gets traded.
Top three definitely in my books.
Yeah, so I really don't understand the logic behind this trade because they only ended up getting two, a second round pick and a fourth round pick, and David Johnson, who has been inconsistent these past couple of years. So I don't know if I really agree with this trade.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a poor trade, poor decision making.
And then the last trade I'm going to touch up on, I know you guys were waiting for it. Stephon Diggs got traded to the Buffalo Bills for a first-round pick.
Really, you're going to end it that way? You're going to end it that way with the Bills trade. Okay. I mean, they did give up a substantially much more, than the Texans got in return from the Cardinals. They gave up a lot of draft capital for him. But I think it's a definite instant game changer. Again, when we talked about the AFC East, we talked about getting Josh Allen receivers, getting him help with the skill positions. They already had a great defense. I think that this is an A-plus move for the Bills. And it's also a win for the Vikings, as we saw them get Justin Jefferson with that Bills pick, where they were able to upgrade their wide receiving core as well and kind of replace Diggs. So I would say definitely it's an upgrade for both teams. I would say that's a win for both teams.
Yes, I'd have to agree. I think that both teams kind of made a good decision in this trade.
Well, all right. I think it was a good trade. I just want to say, though, this was a pretty top-heavy wide receiver draft. I know you like having a veteran wide receiver more than a rookie come in, but there were a lot of good young receivers that they could have drafted in the first round. So I just want to ask you, what do you think about that?
I have to agree with that, but I also have to say something that was kind of interesting. When I was looking at this trade, I just wanted to see kind of what the GM said about it. So Brandon Beane, he actually said that in these times right now with COVID-19, kind of ravaging through the world, it was better to find somebody that was proven in the NFL, somebody that could be that solid number one option, without having to coddle like a rookie, coming up, to be your number one. So it was better to use that first round pick instead to, get somebody that was in the NFL already that we know can, catch balls and, catch contested passes, and be like a good solid number one option.
I think that's definitely
find somebody
a focal
in the draft
point as well, because you have of course rookie camp and a training camp and stuff that's possibly going to be postponed too. So at least again with Stephon Diggs, like you touched on, Justin, I mean you have a guy that's already proven in the league. He's a known solid number one guy you can count on. And again, yes, the wide receiver class is deep, but again, some of them might not pan out, or some of them might just not fit the system or something. So knowing that you have a proven number one guy that you get out of it, I think is a great thing, especially for that team that I think really needs that number one guy. And I think Diggs fits that bill to be able to be that go-to guy for Josh Allen when it's crunch time. So moving on, I guess, to the draft, you touched on free agency. What do you guys think about the draft picks? Quarterbacks, of course, you mentioned wide receivers there, Nate. Anything you guys like to touch on with the draft, how it went? Any surprising picks, perhaps, that caught your eye throughout the draft?
I mean, the Packers taking Jordan Love. I did not see that one coming in the first round at 26, especially since they traded up to draft him.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't understand it. You have Aaron Rodgers, the man. He's getting older, but you guys still went to the NFC Championship game this past season. And instead of going out and getting him support or weapons, you draft virtually his replacement or who you plan to replace him with in the future. It didn't make sense to me personally, and I did not like that pick at all from the Packers.
I believe that I think that they're one of the teams that really kind of butchered the draft for their team. I mean, you got to trade up and you've got to get Aaron Rodgers weapons. I mean, I saw a stat the other day where it was like he has one touchdown pass completed to first round picks, and that was Mercedes Lewis, the tight end who played for the Packers. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. But I mean, that's just so shocking when he compares to Brady or Breeze in that aspect where, I mean, how much talent the Packers Packers have actually drafted around Aaron Rodgers is shocking, and how it seems like they almost failed to do it again and got his replacement instead. Speaking of getting another replacement, Jalen Hurts, quarterback from Oklahoma, going to the Philadelphia Eagles. What would you guys think about that?
I mean, that was kind of a crazy pick in my eyes. I mean, I didn't see that one coming at all.
Yeah, I agree there. I mean, but at the same time, Carson Wentz has been known to get injured, so I can see getting a backup, although I thought the Eagles already kind of had a backup solution, but, I guess
Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill 2.0. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, but again, I just feel there's no reason to take a quarterback that high again, unless he's. But the Packers, same thing. I mean, at least Rodgers was getting up in age, but drafting Hurts with a second round pick, I just don't see how that move makes sense too much. But especially when you have a franchise guy that's 27 and you would believe he's heading into his prime. So again, wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb going to the Cowboys. You got other guys, Henry Ruggs going to the Raiders. So yeah, Jerry Jeudy, the Broncos. I mean, those are some guys who are going to, I think, really help out the offense there. Again, you mentioned the Broncos, Hamler and Jeudy. They're going, that division's going to be very good with the draft picks. And anything else you guys have draft related? Any other picks that thought were good?
Just one that was a little bit surprising for me. Everybody was talking like in the draft how Jake Fromm, he was going to be like, a second rounder, like, big like end of the second round top guy, and then he drops all the way to the fifth round and then gets picked up by the Buffalo Bills, who already have a quarterback. So I just wanted to see what you guys thought about that decision to draft Jake Fromm.
I mean, I didn't think he'd drop as far as he did. He's always a guy I heard about in college because he played at Georgia, and Georgia is a big university, and they're always in the conversation for college football playoff. But he did drop. The Bills took him. I guess it's not a bad option to have it back up. I mean, the Bills' history with backups isn't the greatest. Nathan Peterman, for example. So,
Frank
but I mean,
back in
I don't know.
The 90s there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of looked at it as like, back in the 90s when they had Jim Kelly, they also had Frank Reich. I mean, like, these two guys were, like, very good players. Like, Frank Reich, he could have played for his own team and been a Hall of Famer. Like, he was, like, very good. And so I think that it's a good thing because when you have a quarterback, but also a good backup quarterback, you got a solid team. So I think it was a good decision to take Jake Fromm in the fifth round.
Yeah, especially with him dropping like that, I think it was a smart decision.
Yeah, I think the scouts again looked at him. I heard he did have a struggle at the combine, so his stock drafted fell. I mean, through that as well. So he had a rough time with that. So wrapping that up. Moving on to our conversation, coronavirus affecting all the sports. I mean, we got none going on right now except, as Sam was mentioning before we started here, WWE. I mean, everything else is done. I mean, for right now, again, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, they all are done for the moment. What are you guys' thoughts? How the coronavirus has really shaped and taken over our lives at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely taken over our lives in a big way. We can't even go to the store, let alone go to see sporting events. Like, all sporting events have been canceled, even national sporting events. So it's definitely been a game changer for, like, a lot of things that are happening in the world. Yeah,
it's been tough with no sports. I love watching pretty much any sport I can: football, basketball, hockey, soccer. And, I can't watch any of those. I can't even watch international soccer, because, heck, half the leagues have been canceled over in Europe, and they can't play either. So they can't play here, they can't play there. It's crazy. It's taken over the whole world, basically.
Yeah, it sucks because I wanted to see, like, the NBA, like, playoffs. I wanted to see that season finish out and then go right into baseball. I mean, that would have been it would have been nice to see those, and then the coronavirus kind of just took it away. I will say that we have ESPN making an offer with the KBO when they're having a meeting. They're nearing a deal to broadcast games on ESPN around 6 days ago. So there might be some baseball coming back. There aren't, I mean, for the Americans, we probably would not know too many of the Korean baseball players, but there are some.
There are some former MLB players that are on the teams there.
There are, and each team is allowed to have 3 foreign players on their team. So there are guys like Dan Straley, Tyler Saladino, Preston Tucker, Dixon Machado, Ben Lively, and Taylor Motter. Those are only a few of those guys that we've seen in the MLB. But they're just playing somewhere else differently. So it would be nice to see those guys back, but also to have some sort of baseball coming from our televisions into our homes. So that would be a great thing if ESPN and the KBO can work that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, COVID-19's really, it's affecting all of the sports that are, around the world. And I think that some sports are going to come to some solutions, like there's going to be no fans at the, games coming up. Or, I heard that the NFL now, they're going to, instead of doing the, as we said, the 18 weeks or regular season, they're going to start that in 2021. So they're going to continue doing the regular schedule that we know for right now, because of what coronavirus has done. So who knows what's going to hold in the future.
That's right. And also the MLB has been talking about what they're going to do for their season, since opening day was supposed to be March 26th, I believe, and it hasn't happened yet. It's May 3rd right now. So there have been talks about teams playing in Arizona, no fans.
Florida as well, like merging, like having one from each place, like come for the championship, like one from Florida, one from Arizona.
Yeah, and there's been other discussions about them having like 3 separate leagues, like dividing all 30 MLB teams into 3 separate leagues, 10 teams each, extending the playoffs, maybe playing on like Christmas Day or something like that. That was even thrown into the circle. So honestly, we don't know what's going to happen until we as like the country of the United States like start to clear some stuff up. As less people start getting the virus, as numbers of infected people start going down, then we can figure out stuff for sports. But for right now, it's kind of just a waiting game. See what will happen.
Yeah. Well, everyone, that looks to wrap things up for today's episode of the Lunch Hour Sports Podcast. And first time in a few weeks we record an episode. Thank you all for listening, and hopefully we will get episodes out more consistently soon. But again, the Jackie Kennedy Division Series. Thank you all for listening to the Lunch Hour Sports Podcast. You can find us on YouTube.